So John, how should somebody configure vSAN fault domains?
So fault domains are a construct that's used in kind of three cases. It's used in two node, which is pretty simple. There's two nodes, so they're in their own fault domains automatically when you choose that option. There's also stretched clustering, where you have site A and site B, and the witness site again provides your third fault domain. Again, pretty self-explanatory. There's an additional option, and in this option, you're actually selecting groups of hosts to belong to fault domains. And sometimes people see this and they just start playing with it without necessarily realizing what it does. And I encourage people not to necessarily do that. This is a feature that should be used strategically. So if I have an environment where I have 4 racks of hosts and I have 5 hosts in each rack, and I want to turn on fault domains, what this is going to do is when I select RAID 1 or RAID 5, instead of just pick, for RAID 1, 3 hosts to put the 2 copies of the data in the witness on, or for RAID 5, pick 4 hosts, at random that maybe are all in the same rack, it's going to spread that placement out across the fault domains. The reason why you should not just knee-jerk turn this on just because I have some hosts in some different racks is what'll happen if you have 10 hosts in one rack, 2 hosts in another, and 1 in a third. If you try to do RAID 1, it's going to try to enforce that data distribution across all 3, and you've turned the effective capacity into basically the effective capacity of the smallest fault domain. Also, if you think about this from a healing basis, it's going to try to prioritize any type of repair that was damaged one fault domain to where it'll try to sync that copy into that same fault domain. So one, you're maybe pulling across top of rack, you're stressing across your data center fabric more, which if that's oversubscribed can slow down resynchronizations. You're also providing fewer places to resynchronize that data. And because there's, particularly if you've set the fault domains at the minimum for the RAID level you're at, you don't necessarily have if you did have a rack failure, you wouldn't necessarily have places for that to repair to. You'd also be in situations because you're enforcing fewer choices, there's less many-to-many actions on large rebuilds. So you're going to get fundamentally slower rebuilds because they're trying to follow the preference you've assigned. So where I like to see fault domains used is environments where those fault domains, so to speak, matter. They're not all on the same switch. Maybe they're on different power distribution units. In some cases, even, different parts of a ship or something sometimes where this gets used. But also to where there's an even number of hosts in those fault domains, and there's a number of fault domains or hosts for this to matter. Don't if you have hosts in 2 racks, you could do stretch clusters, but don't go turn on fault domains and assign 2 fault domains. You're just going to create provisioning errors. So this is a powerful feature, but it's not a feature that's necessarily the first thing most people go to into their tools, into their tool chest.
It's incredibly powerful, but just, be very, very deliberate in your approach with it so that it can be used in the most effective way. And I think we have some great resources out on core.vmware.com that focus on that. So